Have you ever sent a message and then waited, heart pounding, watching those three dots, hoping she'd reply right away? Have you ever tried to impress a younger woman with compliments, gifts, or stories, only to feel her slowly pulling away? Be honest, have you ever felt like you were doing everything right, but still came off as desperate? You're not alone. And more importantly, you're not doomed. In fact, most older men don't realize they're sending off signals of desperation without even knowing it. Signals that make younger women instantly lose attraction. That change how she sees you, from someone intriguing to someone needy. And let's face it, once that happens, it's nearly impossible to recover. But here's the truth. It's not about your age. It's about how you show up. In today's video, we're going to break down the 7 things older men do that instantly make them look desperate, and how to avoid them like a pro. Whether you're dating casually or looking for something serious, these insights will help you maintain confidence, mystery, and magnetism. By the end of this video, you'll not only recognize the habits pushing her away, but you'll also learn how to flip the script and draw her in without trying too hard. If you ever felt confused, frustrated, or rejected by a younger woman, this is the video you've been waiting for. So before we dive in, do me a favor. Click the subscribe button so you never miss powerful content like this. Drop a comment below and tell me which habit you've been guilty of or what you're struggling with most. Let's get into it. Number 1, excessive compliments on her appearance. It feels like you're trying too hard. There's nothing wrong with letting a woman know she looks beautiful. In fact, genuine compliments, when done right, can spark connection and attraction. But when an older man overdoes it, especially with a younger woman, it quickly crosses into uncomfortable territory. Constantly telling her how stunning, hot, sexy, or perfect she looks isn't flattering. It's overwhelming. It feels more like flattery for approval than sincere appreciation. The truth is, younger women can easily detect when a compliment is coming from a place of insecurity or neediness. When you compliment her looks every 5 minutes, it signals that you're trying to win her attention with praise instead of presence. It puts her on a pedestal and makes you look like you're chasing validation instead of standing in your worth. You don't need to keep reminding her of her beauty. She already knows it, and she's heard it 100 times before, often from men who are just trying to get something from her. What stands out is a man who sees more than just her physical appeal. The man who can compliment her energy, her intellect, her ambition, or how she makes him feel. A high-value man doesn't gush over her looks to win her over. He holds back just enough to keep mystery alive. He compliments sparingly, but meaningfully. And that restraint, that's what draws her in, because it shows confidence. It shows you don't need to prove your interest. You let your presence speak for itself. So if you find yourself constantly pouring out compliments, stop and ask, am I doing this to connect or to be accepted? Shift the focus from seeking approval to being grounded in self-worth and you. Number 2, trying to buy her affection with money. It undermines your value as a man. There's a fine line between being generous and trying to purchase someone's attention. Many older men fall into the trap of thinking that spending money, lavish dinners, expensive gifts, spontaneous trips will somehow make a younger woman fall for them. But the truth is, when you leave with your wallet, you send a very clear message. I don't believe I'm enough without this. Younger women can sense when money is being used as bait. It doesn't feel like generosity. It feels like a transaction. And that's where the problem begins. Because instead of building genuine connection, it creates a power dynamic where she feels like she's expected to repay you with time, attention, or even affection. It becomes less about attraction and more about obligation. That doesn't build intimacy. It builds resentment or disinterest. Real connection can't be bought. A high-value man knows that. He's not trying to impress with things. He impresses with who he is. He listens, engages, challenges, and inspires. Sure, he might pay for the date, but it's not a performance. It's not a bribe. It's simply what he chooses to do, not what he needs to do to gain approval. The moment you start trying to buy her love, you strip away your natural allure and replace it with insecurity. And insecurity, no matter how well-dressed, is never attractive. Instead, lead with presence, not presents. Let her see your depth, your ambition, your calm confidence. That's what she'll remember. not the price tag. Because in the end, if she's only there for what you give her, she's not really there for you. And you deserve someone who values the man, not just the money. Number 3, over texting or constantly checking in. It feels needy, not caring. One of the fastest ways to come across as desperate in the eyes of a younger woman is by over texting or constantly checking in. At first glance, it might seem sweet or thoughtful, sending good morning texts every day, checking in to ask how her lunch was, or texting again if she hasn't replied within a few hours. But here's the truth. It often doesn't feel like affection. It feels like pressure. When older men overcommunicate, it can signal a lack of emotional independence. Instead of letting the connection breathe and allowing space for natural curiosity to grow, the constant messages start to feel suffocating. It puts her in a position where she feels like she has to constantly reassure you, or worse, like she's being monitored rather than appreciated. True confidence doesn't chase, it attracts. A man secure in himself doesn't need constant validation or reassurance. He has his own life, his own priorities, and he shares space with someone when the connection feels mutual, not when he's anxious about being forgotten. What younger women truly value is a man who respects their time and space, a man who isn't afraid of silence, and who doesn't equate her delayed response with rejection. If you find yourself compulsively checking if she's seen your message, it's time to pause and ask yourself, am I acting from confidence or from fear? Real attraction grows in freedom, not in forced closeness. A high-value man knows that sometimes less is more, and patience is powerful. Be that man. Let her miss you. Let her come to you. When she does, it won't be because you chased her. It'll be because she was drawn to your calm, quiet strength. Number 4, oversharing personal struggles too early. Emotional dumping is not deep connection. There's a big difference between emotional openness and emotional dumping. And many older men, in the pursuit of connecting with a younger woman, cross that line far too soon. You might think that opening up about your past heartbreaks, financial stress, or health fears makes you appear vulnerable and real. But to her, especially in the early stages of getting to know you, it can feel overwhelming and even inappropriate. Oversharing too early often comes from a place of seeking sympathy rather than building intimacy. It puts emotional weight on her shoulders that she hasn't agreed to carry. Instead of seeing you as emotionally mature, she might begin to see you as someone unstable, needy, or looking for a therapist rather than a partner. True emotional strength is about pacing your vulnerability. It's about knowing when to share, what to share, and how much. When you tell a woman your entire life story on the second date, including the ugly parts, she doesn't feel connected. She feels burdened. And worse, it removes the natural mystery and curiosity that helps attraction grow. Younger women are drawn to older men who embody resilience, not those who seem to be unraveling. Share your wisdom, your lessons, and your growth, not just your wounds. Let her discover your layers over time, not all at once like an emotional monologue. Connection is built through mutual exchange, not one-sided unloading. When you hold back just enough to let trust develop naturally, you show emotional discipline. And that, to her, is far more attractive than any raw confession ever could be. Number 5, acting jealous or possessive. Insecurity disguised as passion. One of the fastest ways an older man can appear desperate to a younger woman is by displaying jealousy or trying to control her freedom. It might start subtly, questioning who she's texting, asking too many questions about her guy friends, or getting visibly upset when she mentions going out without you. At first, you may justify it as caring deeply or being protective. But to her, it screams insecurity, and that's not attractive. You see, younger women are usually still exploring their identity, enjoying their independence, and building their social lives. When an older man steps in with rules, expectations, or suspicion, it feels stifling, not supportive. It tells her that instead of being a steady, grounded presence in her life, you're battling your own doubts, trying to control what you fear losing. A high-value man doesn't try to possess a woman. He inspires her loyalty by being emotionally secure. He knows that trust isn't given by force. It's earned through consistency and confidence. When you act like you have something to prove or someone to compete with, it diminishes your presence in her eyes. You go from being the calm, wise figure she was drawn to a needy partner trying to keep up with her world. The truth is, jealousy doesn't make you look passionate. It makes you look panicked. Possessiveness doesn't protect a relationship. It slowly suffocates it. The man who can say, "I trust you and I trust myself," without flinching is the one who earns respect, desire, and admiration. Let your strength show in your calmness, not in your control. Number 6. Oversharing personal trauma too soon. Emotional dumping isn't deep connection. Opening up is a beautiful thing when it's done with timing, purpose, and trust. But one of the most unattractive habits older men sometimes fall into is unloading their entire life's emotional baggage onto a younger woman too early in the relationship. You might think you're being real, vulnerable, and showing her the true you, but to her, it can feel like an emotional ambush. You've probably heard that women appreciate vulnerability, and they do. But vulnerability isn't about trauma dumping on the second date. It's not about reliving every painful moment from your divorce, your childhood, or your past relationships within the first few hours of getting to know each other. That's not vulnerability. That's using her as an emotional sponge. And it creates an imbalance where she feels responsible for your healing, when in reality, that's your job, not hers. Younger women are often drawn to older men because they assume you've done the emotional work. They're looking for stability, calm, and confidence, not unprocessed grief disguised as intimacy. When you overshare too soon, it doesn't bring her closer. It makes her feel like she's been pulled into someone else's storm. Real emotional depth is revealed gradually, with trust and mutual understanding. You don't need to spill everything to prove you're authentic. Let her discover your layers over time. Be present, be curious about her, and show that your past doesn't define you, it has shaped you. That balance is where true connection happens. Number 7. Constantly seeking reassurance, losing your confidence. One of the biggest turnoffs younger women notice in older men is when they constantly seek reassurance or validation. Confidence is attractive, but when an older man repeatedly asks questions like, "Do you really like me?" or "Am I good enough for you?" it signals insecurity and desperation. This behavior undermines a mature, stable image that younger women find appealing. Instead of standing firm in who you are, seeking constant approval makes you seem unsure of yourself and needy. Younger women want a partner who knows his worth, who can lead emotionally and intellectually without doubting every word or action. When you constantly fish for compliments or ask for validation, it puts the burden on her and shifts the dynamic into imbalance. True confidence doesn't mean arrogance. It means being comfortable in your own skin and secure enough to let the relationship grow naturally. If you find yourself needing constant reassurance, it's time to reflect on your self-esteem and work on building inner strength. When you project calm confidence, it naturally draws her closer and fosters genuine attraction. Remember, confidence is silent and steady, not loud and anxious. Let your actions, values, and how you treat her speak louder than words. By mastering this balance, you'll leave a lasting impression that goes far beyond surface-level attraction. To wrap up, we've covered the 7 common habits older men display that can unintentionally push younger women away. From overpraising her looks to trying to buy affection with money. From being too controlling to seeking constant reassurance. These behaviors often signal desperation rather than confidence. Younger women are drawn to men who are secure, genuine, and respectful, qualities that build real connection and trust. It's essential to focus on emotional maturity, authentic communication, and self-confidence if you want to foster meaningful relationships. Here's the advice for you today. Instead of trying to impress through superficial means or insecurity, invest in yourself. Cultivate your passions, practice self-respect, and be patient with the process of building trust. When you bring your true self to the table, you'll naturally attract the right people into your life. If you found this video helpful, please give a thumbs up, subscribe for more insightful content, and leave a comment sharing your thoughts or experiences. Don't forget to share this video with friends who might benefit from these tips, and try applying one of these habits in your daily life. Also, consider joining our community where we discuss confidence, relationships, and personal growth every week. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.